name's Terrence Boylan, and I'm the CEO of PacketLogix. With us today is Ben Russell, our Senior Systems Engineer. We've been asked by several of our customers recently whether the wireless workplace truly is upon us. What we thought we'd do is create a small video that will walk you through what we feel are the 4 components or a recipe for success.
So the 4 pieces that we think are requirements for a successful all-wireless office. Planning, critical. Design for the Wi-Fi first and the network second. I'll get into that in a minute. Health checks. Having regular testing, monitoring, and reassessment of that network is critical. Access control. A network that doesn't have any walls must have very granular control, but also have a balance with ease of access to that network. And then timely response, being able to troubleshoot and proactively repair issues that the users are experiencing is a critical piece for a successful network.
Planning, designing for the Wi-Fi network first and the wired network second. Step 1. Traditionally, we have had IT firms come to us and ask us to design the wireless network long after the wired network's already been in place and in production by users. What we're seeing now is actually a reversal of that. And Ben, could you share with us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So we're advising people to get floor plans to a design expert early on in the process. If you already have an existing network, augmentation designs can be done on those buildings to provide a true all wireless network design. But a lot of times we're starting to see construction projects, remodeling, and new buildings that ideally getting those floor plans to a design expert really early on before the structured cabling design has been completed allows for some cost savings to be seen because the wireless network can be designed first and that the networking would be second.
Step 2, planning for device growth. This is a challenge that we didn't see early on in wireless deployment design, but now with the proliferation of devices, we are. Can you maybe address that a little?
Sure. Yeah. Currently, the big trend is that more devices are coming out without the capability of having an Ethernet cable connected to them. So we're dealing with statistics are starting to come out that in the next 3 years we're going to see 80% of the devices connected to the internet are all going to be wirelessly connected. So that doesn't allow for a lot of devices to be connected to a wired network. So point being, why would we build wired infrastructure if it's not going to be usable in a handful of years?
Good point. So lately, people are using the cloud more and more, both professionally and personally, and how that comes into designing the wireless network. Maybe you could share with us your thoughts on that.
Sure. So that's a conversation about designing the wireless network all the way to the cloud, access to the cloud. So one of these things in the design phase is to build redundancy in the RF, in the infrastructure access points, switching, networking, all the way up to your internet devices into the cloud. So full redundancy of everything from the client device all the way to the internet.
Health checks, testing, monitoring, and reassessment. Directly following an implementation, we usually like to do a post-installation site survey. Maybe, Ben, you could flesh out for us our process there.
Sure. So with deploying a wireless network, doing assessment of that network after it's deployed is a critical component, and it's becoming more and more critical these days with the functionality we have with today's wireless technologies. We can do a lot more adjustment, tuning, modification after a network is already deployed, and being able to provide that as part of the initial implementation is a critical piece.
The second piece is a health check. Maybe you could share with us, as the network ages on, what do you do there?
Sure. Traditionally, wireless networks were designed, deployed, and then maintained with very little modification for a span of years. Sometimes it was 5 years, sometimes it was longer. A lot of times that fell into companies' refresh cycles for equipment. Right. Today, that's not working anymore. We're starting to see a trend where the client devices are turning over much faster than that. We're seeing a 2-year or smaller refresh cycle for the client devices, and the wireless network tends to have to be not refreshed, but modified to support that change. So we're starting to recommend that health check analysis be done on wireless networks for their performance, their readiness for emerging technologies, and be able to to modify the network or tune it to support that new technology.
Access control. A network without walls, like a wireless network, has to have the granularity of security, but it also has to be balanced to allow ease of use for end users. With the current growth of BYOD, or bring your own device, and the Internet of Things, maybe you could share with us a little bit about how you balance the security and access.
Sure. Yeah. So with the wireless network as well as the wired network, but the amount of devices that are being connected to these networks, some of them just for internet-bound access and others for internal resource access, do need to have the ability to quickly be enrolled or join the network, but be able to do so securely and be able to control that access over time. So some of the things that we've seen in the networks we worked with is that standard radius deployments tend to be inadequate at this point. They're just not enough granularity of control.
Right.
Mobile device management alone isn't enough. It doesn't tend to adapt to the new devices fast enough. And the systems that we're recommending now have to be able to support both on-premise and cloud directories, meaning Active Directory internally, as well as a lot of the cloud directories and systems that are emerging much faster. They have to be supported for the authentication process.
Timely response. Troubleshooting and proactive repair are absolutely essential to the success, especially from an end user's point of view. Maybe you could share with us some of the things that we've seen in system performance testing as the network ages on and on.
Sure. So the performance of the wireless network has always been in question. A lot of the times people will rate their wireless network based on the data rates that they've been able to see with their wireless network. There's really not a lot of functionality to assess that or ensure that you're getting those types of data rates.
Right.
So we're starting to see a need, especially within all wireless workplace, to be able to not only test that, but to do so on a routine basis so that you're not unaware of an issue. Even the IT departments could be aware of the issue before the user is.
Right.
So that's a critical piece. And then when the users are reporting issues, historically we had problems where wireless problems were very difficult to troubleshoot. They took a long time, so they tended to get a much lower priority in the trouble ticketing systems, and sometimes they weren't resolved at all. But we're seeing now, especially with an all wireless environment, that those issues, if it's a single user, could be the start of a much larger problem.
Right.
So it's important to resolve those issues quickly and to have the right tools to be able to perform that analysis.
So in conclusion, we've got 4 components to the rollout of an all-wireless workplace. The planning, health checks, access control, and timely response are all essential to a proper deployment. My name is Terrence Boylan with PacketLogix. This is Ben Russell. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to give us an email at wireless@packetlogix.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel below and give us a big thumbs up. Thanks.